we did ask them.
And did they?
No, not,
Yeah.
I did send,
Because I said otherwise.
otherwise don't, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to start the executive committee. I'll call the meeting to order, and we'd like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 6 land and the homeland of the Dakota and Métis Nation. Can I get an approval of the agenda, please? Councillor Head,
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll go ahead and move this motion, yes.
thank you. I'll open.
Council.
Sorry. Councillor Lennox Epp,
Yes.
thank you. Close the vote. Accept. Declaration of conflict of interest. Everybody knows what to do when that comes up. Adoption of the minutes, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I'll open the vote. Councillor Lennox Epp, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Oops. Oopsie. I think I cut her off. I'll accept. Did I cut her off? Sorry, Councillor Zepp.
No problem.
Okay, we have a few delegations this evening. So the city bike auction and the Ukrainian newcomers, a verbal presentation from Sonia Jan, a volunteer assistance, Ukrainian newcomer families in Prince Albert. Sonia, if you'd like to go up to the podium, please. How do you start? There we are.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to speak to the council this afternoon and to make a presentation about our Ukrainian newcomers that have recently arrived to Prince Albert. As you've already mentioned, my name is Sonia Jan, and I've been actively involved in the lead of settling Ukrainian newcomers to Prince Albert. And as a result, as of today, we have 56 new Ukrainian family units that have arrived to Prince Albert. They have all found accommodations, they've found employment, and they are residing here in Prince Albert and making Prince Albert their home. And today I've actually brought with me a family who have just recently arrived. Actually, it'll be a month tomorrow since they arrived here in Prince Albert. And so I would like to have Maria Matkoska please stand, and her son Matvey, who's in grade 8, and Amira, who's in grade 2. And they also have one other son who's 19 years old, who also came with them, and his name is Nikita. Nikita couldn't be here today because he is actually working. He's got a job and he found work. He's in his second week of work already. Thank you. You could sit down. So I just wanted you to be able to see, meet one of the families that have arrived here, and actually what we'd like to propose and perhaps suggest if there's an opportunity for the city to consider the bikes that go to the bike auction on an annual basis to please possibly and consider to be donated to the Ukrainian newcomer children. We have, as I say, 56 new families that have arrived, and as a result, many of them have just come with one suitcase and the clothing on their backs. So they have started out with nothing, and they are now contributing citizens to our community. Maria, specifically, she's a professional. She's actually a registered nurse and is looking to get a better command of her English language, and as a result is taking English classes. She started actually today, was her first day, and I know that there will be many employment opportunities for her as we begin to anticipate the new build of our hospital as well as of our care facilities. So it is my hope that she will be able to find employment very quickly. But as a result of, the time that it takes for her to be able to learn the language and for her to speak at a level 5, for her to be employed, she does not have the means to be able to purchase a bike for each of her children. And this is the case with many of our Ukrainian newcomers who arrive here in Prince Albert. So my presentation today is to please consider the bikes that are going to be going to the auction that are in good condition, working condition, that could potentially be donated to our Ukrainian children that have arrived here in Prince Albert. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mayor Dion?
I have no problem supporting your idea at one time. But how many are we talking about? We need a number, like you've just left it wide open. And I know one of the things that will be asked is the number.
Right. And so in terms, I would have to share that with you. It would be at least 30 bicycles.
Okay, and then there'll have to be some money spent on locks and stuff like that because we won't want them.
Yes, so
lose
one
it,
of the
so-
things that we will want to ensure is the safety of the children when they're riding these bicycles. Obviously, that they're in good repair, that the children are all wearing bike helmets, that they have locks, and they're safely placed in a place where, they can't be taken or, yeah. So that would be the responsibility of the family, and they're aware of that.
Great, thank you. Councillor O'Grotnik?
Thank you, Sonia, for your presentation and of course for your volunteer work. A lot of people don't realize that it's volunteer work, and the amount of hours that Sonia puts into settlement on behalf of the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress, settlement of our newcomers is unbelievable. So I want to thank you for all that hard work that you do. And I do want to make a motion that up to 50 recovered and unclaimed bikes be donated to UCC Settlement Volunteer Sonia Jan to be distributed to the Ukrainian newcomer families. Up to 50.
Up to 50? Okay.
That up to 50 recovered and unclaimed bikes be donated to UC Settlement Volunteer Sonia Jan to be distributed to Ukrainian newcomers. And why I say 50 is, as Sonia said, our Ukrainian newcomers fled an unjust attack on their country. They fled the country with a suitcase. And think about all of the stuff that we have in our homes. If we had to flee our homes with a suitcase, what would we have? And so a lot of, as Sonia said, the adults don't have cars, etc., and that might be their only mode of transportation as well to a job site. And as she said, every single Ukrainian newcomer has been employed, and the community has been phenomenal with employing our Ukrainian newcomers and accepting and working in making them integrated into Canadian society and into Prince Albert society. And so this is, I think, something that is a small token on our behalf to help. We'll have to find somebody to help get helmets and locks, etc., as well. But that's another challenge. But that would be my motion, and I hope we can support that.
Councillor, is the motion
Up
okay?
to 50 recovered and unclaimed bikes be donated to UCC Settlement Volunteer, UCC Ukrainian Canadian Congress Settlement Volunteer Sonia Jan, to be distributed to the Ukrainian newcomer families.
May I just say that we have more families coming. I actually have families that are contacting me directly from Europe. I have a family that's coming from Germany. Many of them are waiting for their children's passports their visas to be completed. And the reason why there's a delay on all of that is because of the 14,000 Ukrainian children that were abducted by Russia and taken to Russia from Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Dion?
So Sonia, do you have a place to store all these bikes? Because what's gonna happen is if we agree to this, you're gonna have to arrive at the yards before the auction and pick out all 50. You're not gonna be able to go get 5 or get 10. So you're gonna have to be able to store these.
Yes, that is something that is doable, and certainly they will be distributed immediately to the families that are in need.
Well, I'm gonna support the motion even though I don't agree with 50. Your request was 30. You could probably use 100, so it would be an end, it would never end. So I will support the motion, but
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Okay. I'll open the vote. Councillor Zepp, please.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll close and accept it. Thank you for coming.
Thank
And
you.
welcome to the city of Prince Albert.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, if you'd like to leave, you don't have to stay for any more. Okay. Okay, another delegation is a request for change in mobile food vendor policy. A verbal presentation from Danielle Carpenter, from Food Buzz. I believe that's the yellow bus. Podium is still on, good. Hi there and welcome.
Hello, thank you. So, thank you, councilors and mayor, for having me here today. My name is Danielle Carpenter. I'm co-owner of Buzz Food with Angelica Sanderson. And also we have here, so we're here today to discuss a policy under the mobile food vendor. Policy in question is 7.02A1. Policy states, mobile food vendors shall not be located within 100 meters of a permanent restaurant property line. This proposal is aimed at changing the limit for food trucks to operate within the city from 100 meters to a fair meter limit similar to other surrounding cities. This change could have significant impact on small business owners who operate food trucks within the city. Prince Albert is the only city to have a 100-meter limit. Other cities in Saskatchewan have a 20-meter limit, like Saskatoon, Warman, Moose Jaw, just to name a few. With Prince Albert having a 100-meter policy, food vendors are having a hard time providing services to other businesses asking for services. So currently, food trucks are not allowed to operate within 100-meter radius of a stationary restaurant. This does not allow for fair competition between the two, as food trucks are able to offer their unique menus to customers who may be looking for something different other than what's offered at a traditional restaurant, or a business is just looking for a food truck to park at the location because a stationary restaurant is unable to do so. By allowing food trucks to operate within this limit, it creates more business throughout the city. We are not just looking to park in front of a restaurant. We are only wanting to provide a service to the business next to them who specifically asked for a food truck. We feel that this policy is discriminatory towards small businesses who operate food trucks. These businesses may not have the financial means to pay as much taxes as larger stationary restaurants do, but they still provide valuable service to our community by limiting their ability to operate within the city. We are effectively shutting down their shutting down their business and denying them the opportunity to earn a living within Prince Albert. Furthermore, food trucks provide a unique dining experience for many people. They often offer a variety of different foods which are not found on traditional restaurants, like hot dogs and Canadian back bacon. They allow for customers to enjoy their food in a more casual outdoor setting by limiting the ability of food trucks to operate. We are denying our citizens the opportunity to enjoy these experiences. We ask that council to reconsider this proposal, and we would like to work at finding a solution that is fair to all businesses within the city. We would like to encourage entrepreneurship and supporting small businesses. Let us together to find a solution that benefits all members in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions? Mayor Dion.
So let's talk about fair. You used the word fair, okay? You pay $530 a year. I pay $20,000. You want to set up next to me and take customers, which you will from me because of unique food things. So I don't know how you can say, let's be fair. I believe our bylaw works. You're the first one that's come. We had to tweak it a couple years ago. I support food trucks, but food trucks were never, when they first came out, were never meant. They were special events. You've seen them at exhibitions, fairs. There's certainly a place for them. At auctions, they're all over the place. But they've now developed into these profitable monsters that want to set up by restaurants. And especially the location that you're asking, there's 3 restaurants within that 100 meters. So I have an issue with that. And so I'm going to move the recommendation that we deny the request on the grounds that we do have a good food bylaw. It allows them to operate where they're allowed, and it protects the ones that are here 365 days that employ just as many people, probably more. And I just think it's been working, so I don't know why at this point council would want to relook at it. Because really nothing has changed. The food trucks still operate the same way, and we still have permanent restaurants. The location that you want to go into has 3 restaurants within that 100 meters. And I've already talked to them, and I agree with them. It's no different unless you're willing to say, yeah, we agree the fee is unfair and that we should be paying $8,000 or $10,000 a year, then I might look at it. But these people, you operate 4 months a year, maybe 5, where these other people operate and employ hundreds and make donations to our community all the time for fundraisers. And so I support that. I support food trucks. I'm not against them, but I believe there's a place and a location for them. And I don't believe that's close to other restaurants where you can cut off the business. I don't believe that. And so for that reason, that's why I move this recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thanks for coming out and providing your presentation. So I also support food trucks, most certainly. I do think that there is a spot for them. I don't know whether it was yourself that we spoke on the phone.
Yeah.
It was, okay. So when we did speak, you talked about, and you mentioned it in your report tonight, about special requests from businesses. And I don't foresee an issue in that if a business requests you to come and cater. But I don't know how we go about that, or the business goes about that, and maybe the Director of Planning can help us on that. How do they seek permission for that particular case?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. Yeah, specifically regarding events or sales or something like that at a business, right? The way that a food truck could set up there is simply getting a request and getting permission from the property owner. I wouldn't be overly concerned with that distance requirement for a weekend event or something like that, or a day or two at a time. If we're looking at over the course of an entire summer or over the course of a number of months, that would flag a concern for sure. But if it's just for a day or two or over the course of a weekend, then I wouldn't have an issue with it. I simply request that they let us know, get permission from the private property owner where they will be locating, and proceed.
So, yeah, good point on the private property. So the business, requests you to come. It sounds like there's not going to be an issue for you to set up for catering aspect of things. It makes sense. I think it's a great idea. I do know that there's several, ball diamonds, ball events that talk about getting food trucks, and I think that's important that we allow that to occur for sure. But that being said, and I did express my concerns on the phone, was the 100-meter does help protect, as Mayor Dion said, the permanent businesses. And I certainly remember the discussion that we had at that point. And we have a small tax base in Prince Albert. And this was one of the main points of why we chose to amend the motion or even create the policy about food trucks, was because of that. And now I think you're allowed to go up to many different areas of the city, correct?
We're usually confined to Kinsman Park.
So the only area in the city that's within 100 meters or not within 100 meters is Kinsman Park?
That's correct.
Well, I've also expressed some, I thought we have this. Do we have a food truck event downtown that we offer? Do we have a square? I know we talked about offering a square downtown where food trucks could come in and park on a regular basis. Is that
Director?
correct?
Yeah, through to the chair. Thank you for the question. So we've got different types of mobile food vendors. We've got mobile food bicycles, mobile food carts, mobile food vendors. So your bigger trucks is what we're contemplating today. So in regards to mobile food trucks or food vendors, they're allowed at on-street metered parking stalls along River Street between Central Avenue and First Avenue, at on-street metered parking along 10th Street East between Central and First. So that's right in front of City Hall here. Directly abutting Kinsman Park, north of 26th Street East and west during operating hours. The airport when to accommodate some of our arriving guests. And then there's some discretion as well with between myself and our Director of Community Services for different types of community events where we aren't already allowing for our own concession services.
Okay, so there are a few locations that you can set up.
There's no great, there's no large location that a lot of food trucks could come to.
Yes, Mayor Dion, sorry. Okay.
So I'll choose to ask a question to yourself, just for procedure purposes. So
Thank you.
do you have a large area where multiple food trucks can park?
At this present time, there's not a large location other than Kinsman Park, which in turn would block traffic and congest the streets quite a bit. If there was to be a number of food trucks that parked on Central Avenue or even downtown area, it would plug up the area quite a bit. It'd be different if we were allowed to park at, say, Art Hauser or someplace where there's a lot of parking available and it's a big area to accommodate a lot of food trucks. So right now, it's just kind of, we can park on the street, but it really doesn't allow people parking and availability.
Okay, thank you for that. I know that, I think in turn or in time, we should certainly find a location that allows the food trucks an area. And I know we talked about it. I don't know why we didn't go about that for a parking lot. I don't remember. But I certainly would support that. People like food trucks, but we also have to protect our restaurants that do pay a higher tax base, most certainly. So I am right now, I will support the motion, but I think that as we've talked about it, that there are some ways that you can go about doing business under our current bylaw.
Thank you. Councillor Ogrotnik.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. And I see some value in some of the things that you said today. And I think I would like us to, as Councillor Edwards said, you know, there'll be coming a time where we have to relook at this, and maybe it is right now. And by sending it and referring it on to the Planning Advisory Committee, maybe that is the time right now. I do want to protect our restaurants. There's no doubt about it. I would not want to see a food truck that, like for example, over here where we have a pizza place, having a pizza truck right here on 11th Street. To me, that would be unfair. But if you're offering something different, significantly different, a person is going to, you know, go there because they want that particular food product, that type of food. They perhaps want to, you know, don't want pizza, and so therefore, to me, that would make sense. And so therefore, I think there could be room for both to exist without hurting our businesses. I definitely support if a business has an event and wants to have a food truck there, to be able to have that food truck there. To me, that's supporting the business that does pay taxes as well as food trucks. So I'm not going to support your motion, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support the original motion if this gets defeated, and allow at least further discussion at the Planning Advisory Committee level for this particular topic.
Thank you. Councillor Tony Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And thank you for your presentation. I know we've had some conversation about your ask today. You know, and I do agree with some of the comments here. I do feel that residents would like to see some variety when it comes to some lunching options. But listing off some of the areas you are able to park, what are some of the, like, because there seems to be about, you know, 5 or 6 spots in the city that you can set up today with under our current policy, but where are you trying to set up? And I guess I agree with Councillor Ogrodnik referring us back to the Planning and Development Department to kind of see what are some of our options, I guess, or what would be your options, but do you have a specific spot you're looking for? Because I think if we look and change over, you know, lessening it to 50 meters or 20 meters, that may not achieve what you're after as well. So, you know, simply just reducing that number may not be the answer. But is there some spot you guys are looking for specifically?
Yeah, so thank you. So the question that, or the spot that we're trying to develop and be a part of is actually the corner of 2nd Avenue and 28th Street. So on that corner, there's Mr. Sub across the street. There's Family Pizza, used to be the old WK Kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then there's Spice Trail and Selena Donaire's down the street kind of thing. So us offering hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that, there's really nobody in that area at all that has the same type of food kind of thing. And I mean, if you look at those guys, they lease that area the same as what we would be doing. We would be leasing that area as well. So I mean, the people that own the lot and own the land, they pay taxes the same as every other place does in town and stuff like that. And those smaller restaurants pay leasing the same as what we would be doing.
Well, it sounds like maybe only permission is needed by the landowner to set up a shop, and that's 2nd Avenue, 28th Street, is what I'm hearing from administration per request or by request or private property. Okay, so you know, that's the only spot. So yeah, simply changing the policy just to kind of allow you to set up on that spot maybe, you know, isn't the best course of action, because I do feel there should be some protection for our restaurants that are paying property taxes. So I get that point here and why that maybe we landed where we are today on this policy. But I would prefer to see this going back to administration to find maybe some solutions, if any at all. So I'm not supporting this motion currently as it stands, but will support it being referred to the department. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. I too would like to see this go to Planning and Development Committee just for exploration and to see what residents, just to take a further look at what we as a city are growing to and what we would like to embrace in terms of food versus stationary restaurants. I definitely don't want to impact the people who have been here and who are stationary, but I do appreciate the entrepreneurial value of food trucks as well and the uniqueness that they bring to our community. So I won't be supporting this motion, and if it does not pass, we'll be moving that it go to the PAC.
Great, thank you. Mayor Dion.
So in closing, I would just like to explain one other thing about lunch. This is the size of the pie of people that go for lunch. I'm heading to Spicy Trail for lunch. Oh, there's a fish and chip truck set up right across from it. I'm going for fish and chip. Who lost? So Spicy Trail did. Because we gave them that option. Your location isn't going to work if we go to 20 meters because Spicy Trails is the alley, the distance across from the alley. And why does he want that corner? It's the prime corner of the city. And he wants to put 3, 4, 5 trucks on there, just not one. So that is going to affect every restaurant in that area because now we're putting a cluster. And that's why I didn't want it. I would agree to refer it to planning because the committee doesn't have the resources or the research effort that our department has. And I don't mind sending it to committee because I'm going to ask that if it does, if this is defeated, it goes to committee, that I have the right to speak at committee. Because this is what it's about. And he said it. It's about fair. Remember the word fair. You put a cluster of food trucks on that corner. I don't care what you do. You're going to affect all those other businesses because the pie is only this big. There's only so many people that go out and can afford to eat today. Especially today, it's even getting more and more expensive for the restaurant owners that are permanently there. I haven't heard the presenter say, well, we're willing to pay a huge fee. Okay? Look at their costs. They don't have natural gas. They hardly have any. They have propane. They don't have electric. Their costs compared to a full-time restaurant. So that's why I support full-time restaurants. And, we have a great bylaw. So that's why I don't want to tweak it. It's worked. And if this gentleman wasn't here today, we wouldn't be even considering it. And so what that Saskatoon has a different one, Regina? So what? They allow hundreds of liquor board stores. We only allow 10. They allow hundreds of pot shops. We only allow 3. And that's why people like doing business with us, because we're fair. We keep the market fair so the people that are here can survive. Some of these restaurants close, they'll never come back. Food trucks will always. And then we're working hard to accommodate them. They are welcome at the street fair, big event. And talking to the downtown, we are going to try to put a food truck war on downtown. But every lunch hour, I walk across and I get a Bannock burger right there. So they are allowed in the city. And that's what I'm asking. They are not banned from the city. They are restricted. And I think for $530, you should have quite a few restrictions compared to the tens of thousands that the other restaurants pay. So I don't think my request is unreasonable. And so I am asking you to support this. We have a thing that works, and it works well. And just now somebody wants to go on a power corner, and I give them credit. Power. I give them credit. What a great location. okay? And to put 5 or 6 food trucks there, you might as well shut down some of those restaurants, because the pie is only so big. There's only, and let me tell you this, in the next year, there's gonna be less and less people going out to eat, because I'll tell you this, it's getting very expensive. And so just consider their expenses, the taxes they pay when you vote.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Councillor Lennox Epp, did you have anything?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Go into the votes. Open. Close.
Oh, and I would vote no.
Okay. So that's against, and so it's defeated either way. And, okay. Another motion? Anybody? Councillor Kilmer.
Thanks. I'd like to move that this be received and referred to the Planning and Advisory Department,
The committee?
to the department. Planning and Development.
Thank you. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a clarification, I think the initial one was to go to committee, so more discussion around the item. This, I believe, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if this goes to the department, they're going to deny it based on the policy that's currently in place, so just thought I'd point that out.
Councillor Kilmer.
My expectation would be that they're not only looking at the meters, but also at the cost that we charge per truck, because in my limited research of Regina, Saskatoon, and Winnipeg, as the mayor has correctly pointed out, we charge $5.30, and they have different prices and also different costs charged. And I don't know if that is new since the rest of council has, since it's been before council before, but it might be more equitable. So maybe I should be adding to report back to council at the end. Or to executive, maybe to an upcoming executive. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Grotnick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I would have preferred the Planning Advisory Committee, because at the Planning Advisory Committee, like all committees, you have councillors there. Committee members will be able to speak, and all of the information is given by administration. They're going to give all the information there, have them discuss it, and then it has to, the recommendation from that committee has to come back to us anyways. And so here you're going to have administration give their report and their thoughts on whether we change it or not. We have community members that are on these committees that will be able to give a different, viewpoint perhaps. And I know I can't speak for the Planning Advisory Committee, but I know, like the Community Services, it's a very diverse group of people from across the city that sits on that committee. And they give a lot of different perspectives, and that's what's good about these committee meetings. And then every single thing that we at that particular, as I said, has to come to council for approval anyways. So you're giving more opportunity for more discussion, and they might reject based on the information that they're being given. They might reject, and say no, we're going to keep the policy in place because it is working. One thing, though, at the committee, just for everybody to know, that I can attend any committee, but I can't speak at those committees. I'm not allowed to speak. Only the members of the committee can speak, unless you've been invited to present. Then you can speak at those committees. So Mayor Dion, you wouldn't be able to go and speak at the committee unless you were invited. to speak at the committee. That's how the committee structure works. So I would prefer it to go to the committee rather than just to the department, but that's just my point, my viewpoint.
Mayor Dion.
So, and that's why I support this one and not the committee. Because this gentleman here will speak to the restaurant owners, the committee will not. These people, he will reach out and do his research in other cities. He'll talk to our local restaurants that are going to be affected, where the committee is just going to give their opinion. Well, that's fine. I appreciate their opinion, but I want to also hear from the restaurants that are going to be affected. That's what counts here. And so that's why I like this recommendation, because I know our director is thorough, and he's going to go back and talk to the restaurants that are going to be affected and get their opinion. And to me, that's the main people that we should be considering. As me, as a customer, it doesn't cost me anything to say yes or no. It doesn't. It doesn't cost me anything to say yes or no. So that's who I'd want to send it to. What does it cost that person to say yes or no? Nothing. But if you're a restaurant owner and you've got skin in the game and you've got employees and families to take care of, you're going to speak out. And that's why I really like this recommendation, and I will be supporting this recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Okay. Councillor Lennox-Epp, did you have anything, or you're okay?
No, everything I thought of has been said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll open the vote, and oh, okay, sorry. Okay, I'll open the vote. Councillor Lennox-Epp.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll close. Accept. Oh, and it's carried. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, now next we'll go to the consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull anything from there? Councillor Kilmer?
Item 6.3, I have an item on there. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Who would like to pass the rest? Mayor Dion?
I'll move the balance of the consent agenda.
Thank you very much. I'll open the vote. Councillor Lennox-Epp?
Yes.
Thank you. Close and accept it. It's carried. Okay, we'll go to 6.3, February 2023 accounts payable payments. Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you. I am just wondering about line 332, Spotify, and I'll move to carry the rest, receive and file.
Thank you. I'll open the vote. Councillor Lennox-Epp?
Yes.
Thank you. Accept it. All good. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go to reports of administration and committees. A transfer station surveillance. A verbal presentation from Mr. Hastings, our transportation traffic manager. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. The purpose of this report is to explore the feasibility and practicality of permanent surveillance at the transit transfer station. So to give a little bit of a recap of how we got here, back in the winter of 2020 and 2021, complaints began to arise from drivers and riders, including vandalism, harassment, and even assault at the transfer station. In February 2021, 2 assaults involving city transit drivers and loiterers at the transfer station occurred. And at this point, the benches were removed in order to reduce loitering and other crime in the area. However, this had negative impacts and reduced comfort for the riders. In March of 2021, the Department of Public Works consulted with the Prince Albert Police Service to create a crime prevention strategy. This included conflict management and de-escalation training for all transit drivers, improvements to the Prince Albert Transit Procedure Manual, increased police presence in the area, and a feasibility study of permanent surveillance. Right after this, PA Transit and the Prince Albert Police Service took immediate action to enhance safety at the transfer station, and the Prince Albert Police Service provided conflict and de-escalation training in person to all transit drivers, which was much appreciated. The benches were reinstalled to restore pedestrian comfort, and safety section was added, including violence prevention, refusal of service, and emergency response subsections to the Prince Albert Transit Manual. Additional to this, the Prince Albert Police Service began routine passes of the transfer station to further increase their presence. At this time, it is important to note that a review of the transfer station was completed, and it determined that 5 cameras were necessary to get a full scope of the property. In addition to this, the existing light standards would need to be rewired in order to support the 120-volt permanent surveillance cameras. And after some consultation with a few of the local security agencies, this would cost $16,000 for the installation the initial costs of these cameras, plus $1,000 yearly for SaskTel hookups and security fees. Currently, the Department of Public Works is in the final stages of installing on-bus surveillance in the new fleet of buses. These cameras are closer and higher quality and also have audio. So for this reason, the vast majority of misbehavior will be caught on these cameras, and it'll be more widely enforceable. So although a permanent surveillance system is a good tool, it's also important to note that it doesn't necessarily stop crime or reduce crime, it simply records it. So what do we do with the footage? Well, at current, the on-bus transit surveillance works on a complaint basis. So if a driver or rider submits a complaint, we can pull the footage and review it to either suspend or refuse service from a rider. But if we use the proposed transfer station surveillance that would be permanent, it'd be very difficult to clarify if this person, one, was a rider, and then if the Prince Albert Police Service would want to get involved with the incident. The one other thing to note is since October 2021, there's only been one record on note where this footage would have been pulled as opposed to the on-bus surveillance. And that was a late night scuffle that saw 1 pane of transit glass broken. It cost the city about $1,000, and even if that footage was pulled, we might not have recovered those costs. Lastly, January and February 2021, we're in the middle of COVID-19 when these incidents occurred, and that was, widespread vandalism was a little bit higher throughout Canada, and it was the months of the lowest ridership in the last decade for PA Transit. So we had the least utilization of the transfer station when these crimes occurred. Now, as of March 2023, transit ridership has exploded to 47,000 per month, which is over 650 people per day at the transfer station. So for this reason, misconduct has occurred less frequently, and it is reported quicker to the Prince Albert Police Service when it does happen. So in summary, due to the increased ridership, increased police presence, and completion of conflict management training for all the drivers, transfer station safety has greatly improved. And for these reasons, at this time, installation of permanent surveillance is not recommended. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Evan, for your presentation and report. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I definitely feel that added security is helpful. So I'm going to move a motion here that's contrary to what the suggestion is, that we install permanent surveillance at the transit transfer station moving forward, I guess. So, but that the city installs permanent surveillance at the transfer station. Transit transfer station, sorry. And I guess if I get no second or need it, if I can make a few points. I think, this is, I realize that maybe some of these incidents are down, but if we can stop or deter any crime happening in there, I mean, that would be the ultimate goal. And I get the cameras aren't going to, save lives or more of a recording device, but, that it would announce to everybody that it is being monitored and that your actions are being recorded. So I do feel that that alone would deter individuals, creating any assaults or any kind of crime we see there. And we're investing more into our transit system. And so, adding in extra routes, I think that this, can complement that as well. Because we are going to be running later runs as well. I get that some of our buses will have additional cameras, and so great. I'm happy to hear that we're going to have an additional, systems in place for the safety of our residents, but I don't think we're there yet, and this might be a quicker solution to that. So I'm supporting this motion.
Mr. Hastings, how much did you say it would cost?
It would cost approximately $16,000 for the initial installation and purchase of the cameras, including the rewiring of the existing light standards, and then it would be about $1,000 per year in added security costs and SaskTel costs.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I'm a supporter of video cameras. However, I'm not sure how many times the video leads to arrests, and I think it's pretty small number of times. And so I'm concerned about the investment and where we're gonna go about it, because somebody has to review the footage, and then we have to provide that footage to the police, and then we have to see if there can be a conviction. And it's unfortunate that I don't think it leads often to convictions. And that's my worry. I really wish, hey, we have you on video footage. We're going to be able to charge you and we're going to convict you. But unfortunately, in today's day and age, that's not what the answer is or what the story is. We're not seeing that in the courts. A lot of times people have masks on. We're not able to recognize them. You kind of get a glimpse of people and it's hard to charge them. So that's where my concern is how much time are staff going to put into reviewing it, and how much crime are we seeing towards the people that are utilizing the buses. And I'm not sure there's a whole lot. I know there is some. There's crime in many places. So I think we should review it. I'm not in favor of taking $16,000 out of fiscal stabilization this particular year. Maybe we can look at it for the budget next year and consider it and figure things out for 2024.
Thank you. Mayor Dion.
Well, I started supporting it, now I'm on the fence because I have another question. Does the public, Lafoy, does the public have access to our video? So for example, if we have an incident there and they apply to us on a Lafoy request, do we have to surrender that video?
We would have to do a privacy impact assessment of the location, but I would imagine, yes, if they went through the proper channels through the city clerks, they would be able to get the video.
Okay. City Manager.
Just in reference to the mayor's question, all video that we collect through surveillance cameras are records of the city, so they are LaFoipable. So they can be requested through LaFoip request through the city clerk's office. So any surveillance, it's not just used for law enforcement. They are records of the city.
Thank you. Councillor Lennox Epp, you okay?
Nothing further.
Okay.
Sorry.
Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I stuck it in there. Further to the question about video brings me to who then owns the videos on the buses?
That would be owned by the city. So first it would be collected by myself, and then if anybody were to act or request the footage, it would be through the city clerks.
And we're leasing the buses though from a...
Yes, we're leasing the buses.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go to the vote. Open. Councillor Lennox Epp.
No.
Thank you. Close, accept. All right. Motion defeated, yes. Okay, so is somebody gonna, oh, thank you, Mayor. Mayor Dion,
I'll move that we receive and file.
thank you. Did I use the wrong one? It's like, oh my God, I used the wrong one. That one. Okay. Open. Councillor Lennox Epp,
Yes.
thank you. I'll close, accept. Thank you, Mr. Hastings, for your presentation. Oh, and you have another one here. Here we go. Transit review and your PowerPoints. Put that up there. There we go.
All right, this report is a transit review of the year 2022. So the big word for the year of 2022 was transition, and that's what that was for Prince Albert Transit. Although the year began with a less than optimal start, it ended on many, many positive notes. So to start off the year in January 2022, the City Transit was still recovering from the effects of COVID-19 and the loss of the main transit fleet in 2021. So to start the year, we had 6 retrofitted school buses, 3 loaned vicinity buses, and 1 city-owned transit bus. And this fleet led to various maintenance issues and ultimately caused reduced transit service. So at this time, it was administration's top priority to secure a more reliable fleet to provide consistent service. And in March and August of 2022, the city did just that when we partnered with First Bus ULC to get 8 more leased transit buses to improve the service. On August 30th, city transit routes were optimized, and on December 20th, to cap off the year, the city was approved for $415,000 of provincial and federal transit funding. So as we can see here is the ridership per month, and kind of as my comments started, the year started slow and then ramped up as the year went on. So this is the transitionary period. In September, we saw the optimization of the transit route, the arrival of 6 of the new fleet, and many other positive changes I'll discuss in this report. January 2023 is starred because it was the highest transit ridership month of all time. However, this was surpassed once again in March by nearly 4,500. Performance indicators, typically we look at the cost to revenue ratio and we aim for 35% cost recovery to 40%. However, in 2020 and 2021, this slipped at 27% due to COVID-19 and reduced ridership. In 2022, there was a slight increase to 28%. However, it was low again due to the ridership and the loss of transit advertising revenue. Just to see the projections at the start of this year, we're expecting a very strong recovery in 2023. Another big topic for this year is high school transit. On March 7th, 2022, Sask Rivers announced they would cease high school transit within the city. And on August 30th, 2022, the rush hour route was altered to enhance service for all students, Crescent Acres, and Cornerstone. As of December 2022, over 325 high school students now purchase monthly bus passes, and this is up from 90 in previous years. So here's the new route. Not only does it go past Pacey, Carleton, and Sask Polytech, who have over 300 monthly bus pass purchasers, but it also goes past the 28th Street corridor, Crescent Acres, and Cornerstone. So it's gaining popularity and it's a very utilized route. Another big impact was the communications improvements that were undertaken this year. Transit Live was installed on all PA Transit buses in August, and it allows people to view their buses in real time on GPS, as we can see in the bottom left image. And as of January 2023, Transit Live is used 26,000 times a month. So when you see people on their phone at a transit stop, it's most likely looking to see where their bus is. In addition to that, the Department of Communications were consulted and came up with a very, very handy daily bus update. So essentially, we have a template here that allows people to see where their bus is in real time with Transit Live, has a link to the city transit page, and also has a link to the daily bus updates, which are provided at 6 a.m. every morning. So the public knows when their bus is coming and where their bus is coming. In 2022, there was also a decent amount of transit vandalism that occurred during the months of COVID-19. And for this reason, an anti-vandalism trial was undertaken. So here we see 4 perforated metal panels installed at the Kinsman Workshop Transit Shelter. Something similar was installed in 3 other transit shelters. And since the installation in June of 2022, there hasn't been any damage noted on any of the 4 shelters. For that reason, this project would be a success, and we are looking to install more in 2023. Next, we did some very good transit promotions. August 31st, Sask Polytech Community Fair engagement. PA Transit booth was held to promote the improved service as well as Transit Live GPS. September 1st, there was a free day of transit to allow new students to try out PA Transit. And in December, we did a winter holidays draw. So if a resident purchased a November bus pass, they were eligible to enter into one of 50 free December passes. So 9% of residents who entered the draw received a December bus pass. And looking forward to 2023, we have some major improvements coming and some very nice funding from the provincial and federal government. We have $150,000 towards accessibility and infrastructure. So we have many projects planned. We're currently finalizing the final list, but we're going to be updating the city transit website with all the projects as they're completed. And this is going to contain stuff like transit shelters, benches, concrete pads, and pathways. In addition to this, $265,000 was allocated to extended transit hours. So once we have enough bus drivers, we'll be running this until March 31st, 2024, and transit will be extended till 10:15 p.m. on weekdays. Lastly, a full transit review will be completed throughout 2023. This review will be focused on planning and system improvements over the next 5 years, and it will include a bus fare review, route planning required for new development, advertising and promotion, infrastructure and accessibility, and improvements to communications. So thank you, and at this time I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Kumar?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this review, and it's very timely and appreciated. My comments are really limited to thanking you and the work that has been done. What I do appreciate the most from administration is that in the past 2 years, we know that we are handcuffed by purchases that we made and things out of our control, or I guess in our control, but out of our control. And we've had a really bumpy ride getting our the people that most need transit to having reliable, consistent transit. And that is because of the hard work that you and your team have done. What I appreciate the most is those daily morning announcements have not had a no bus running for a very long time. And I do know that people appreciate that and the work that has gone into that. As well, the new bus shelters are looking very, well, they're looking fantastic. They are exactly what our city deserves and who we should be, a city that's moving up and worthy of the 3rd largest city in Saskatchewan. So I just wanted to say thank you for the work, and I look forward to what's going to happen in 2023 and the updating of the webpage.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ogrotnik?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Evan, for your report. It's a great report, and I won't repeat everything Councillor Kilmer said, but I agree with everything she said. It's a really good work that you've done. The only thing that I'll add is I'm very pleased to see that Crescent Acres finally has a bus going through that. I've lost every budget vote when I've always proposed that we add money to have Crescent Acres, so finally we have it, and so that's a good thing. So thank you.
That's a good thing. All right. Oh, nobody moved it? Who would like to move this? Sorry.
I'll move the recommendation,
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Cool. Mayor Dion?
Same way doing a transit review. I just want to bring this up, and sometimes when you're sick and you're at home, you think too much. But could I ask, maybe this is the place to put it, I would like to see us look at possibly putting a special bus from the transit station to the Lead River Park on a pilot project, but the fare be $5. So you can drop your kids off or whoever at the transfer station, get on this bus that'll run every hour or so, I don't know. But I'd like the authority to meet with our transit manager to discuss this idea, and then have it dropped off, in the winter time at the lodge, because it'll be skiers, and in the summertime at the adventure park. But I do believe there's a demand, but I don't think we should be putting a regular bus route on there. I think if we get a smaller bus or something like that and offer a special service. So maybe I'll just let council know that I'm going to do that and then see what happens. Because I do believe with the venture park and all the changes that we're doing now that there could be a demand, but I don't believe it should be a regular bus route because I don't think that'll be profitable and I don't want to bring our costs up. But it was actually a young gentleman that said, well, I'll pay $5, and maybe that's the answer, run a special bus for that service, just to give them a heads up. And I was going to bring it up in inquiries, but I brought it up here. Thanks.
Thank you. At Little Red, yes. Councillor Gretnick?
Mayor Dion, that's a great idea. And I thought you were going to ask to amend, and I was going to say that's at a council. That should be a notice of motion at council, I think, and receive it that night and hear it that night. And a great idea. I totally agree with that. I've supported that for a long time. I know Councillor Edwards brought that up probably the first year you were on council, that there should be some transportation out to Little Red. But now that, as you said, we have extended Little Red and enhanced it, it's time to have service out there. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. I'll open the vote. Councillor Lennox Epp?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll close. Accept. Thank you very much. 7.3, an airport terminal detailed design budget adjustment. Presentation from Mohammed, Engineer Services from Manager. Mohammed, podium's yours.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thanks, respected members of City Council. Today, I'd like to present the report regarding adjusting the design fees for the new airport terminal building. And the adjustment includes an increase by $1.23 million to the design fees. Allow me to give you a little bit of background about this project here. Back in 2020, that's when we started developing the strategic master plan for the airport. And then it was finalized early in 2021. That's when the need for a new airport terminal building was identified. And since then, we included that in our 2022 budget. And that was approved by City Council back in December 2021. And the approved budget was $635,040 back then. After the approval, we proceeded with the RFP and the procurement process. In May 2022, that's when we brought a report to City Council recommending Prairie Architect to be awarded. And they were awarded based on that council approval. In November 2022, a presentation was delivered to City Council containing 33% of the preliminary design that was completed by the architect. In December 2022, we completed the 66% design, and after that design stage completion, we started seeking the Class B cost estimate to see what would it cost to construct the new building at that 66% stage. And at that time, we did receive the cost estimate. The cost estimate did, I would like to include a few changes basically from the time of the RFP to the time of the cost estimate here that we received in 2023. So the building size has increased. What was identified in the master plan back in early 2021 was a 13,000 square foot building size. When we started the detailed design of this project, that's when lots of the requirements and some key areas were investigated and studied to come up with the right footprint for this project. And that was increased from 13,000 to 31,000, just over 31,000 square foot. It's noteworthy that the master plan was very preliminary, did not include any investigation, did not include any studies, did not include any detailed design. It was just a very conceptual number and design that was considered at that time. The 31,000 square foot, that includes two parts. It includes the Seas Airport Terminal building, which is just over 21,000 square foot, and also it included an area for NAV Canada of just under 9,000 square foot. So the cost estimate based on the new footprint was $31,889,000. That was the Clause B estimate, which is the plus or minus 10 to 15%. And so when we worked with the consultant, the consultant fees are percentage fees based on the construction cost. So when the construction cost was updated in February, and so the consultant fees has to be updated based on the new construction estimate. So, and that's what's in this report. The consultant fee that was approved back in 2022 was 10.6% of the estimated cost, which was $6 million at that time. And the new percentage that the department was able to negotiate is 9.25%, which brings the cost portion for the detailed design only to $2,066,000. And that's based on a $22 million construction cost estimate. It did drop from the number I mentioned earlier because NAV Canada's scope of work has been removed. It's not going to be included anymore, and that's due to NAV Canada's change in service provision after they announced the digital air traffic service, which doesn't request them to be on site. So the final approval that we are asking for is an increase of budget by $1.23 million, and that's to be funded by the passenger facility fee reserve, which at the end of 2022 had $2,197,000 in that reserve.
Great, thank you.
And there are more details in the report. If there's any question about any of those details, happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Mayor Dion?
I have no questions. I'm going to move a new motion that this project be put on hold and returned back to the Airport Committee. And the reason that I'm making this, the Airport Committee is not aware of this report. And what's shocking is he mentions that the new one, there's going to be 9,000 square feet for NAVCAN. Well, we just got a report from NAVCAN that they don't need a tower. What they're going to do is they're going to, and they've already pilot project some of these in the east, because we're a small activity airport at night, that they're going to install a camera system, and it's going to be monitored in a different location, probably Winnipeg, and they will direct the planes and the direction from there. So to me, I'm shocked that this didn't go to the committee, because that's why we had the committee. And I know the committee's gonna be shocked when they see this report. But also, it shows 9,000 square feet in Nakam. We don't understand that because they told us they don't need any square footage now, that what their intentions are is to put this camera system up. And they've already done it at a few airports, and we have been in the future designated one of the airports. So I think there's lots missing from this report, and I can tell you this, the committee will, as a member, I'm not going to support building a $31 million terminal. It just doesn't make sense in our market. We don't have the flights, we don't have the demand. So I'm asking council to put the project postponed on this point and forward it back to the Airport Advisory Committee to report back to council on their recommendations.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Anybody else? No. We'll open the vote. Councillor Lennox Epp.
No.
Thank you. Close and accept. Carries. Thank you. 7.4, 2022-2023 Swim to Survive program and lifeguard scholarship, a presentation from Lauren, Recreation Coordinator for Aquatics. Hi, welcome. Go ahead.
I think I have a, oh, there we go. Okay, so thank you. My name is Lauren. I haven't been here before, so thank you very much. I feel very welcome. It's a great environment. So my name is Lauren. I'm the Recreation Coordinator in Community Services for Aquatics. I've been with the City of Prince Albert since 2009, although I do look very young. And I've been involved in aquatics since I was 14, so that is even technically 2 years more than half my life. So I'm here to talk about the Swim to Survive program. So with the Life Saving Society, they have a Swim to Survive standard. So this is the minimum skill level that any Canadian should have in order to survive an unexpected fall into deep water. So it's composed of, or comprised of 3 consecutive skills, which is a roll into deep water, treading water for 1 minute, and swimming 50 meters. I'm sure some of you think, oh, easy peasy, cakewalk. Some of you might be going, uh-oh, this is not for me. So this is something that we've been working in partnership with the Saskatchewan Rivers Public School Division at the Frankton Pool, and we've been teaching this to children for a really long time. So the program was we've revamped in 2017 by former City of Prince Albert employee and a school division employee now, Brittany Miller. And I'm excited to kind of continue this. So the premise is that high school students at Carleton are teaching elementary school students from the school division to swim. And it was started actually with Councillor Kilmer when she was at Carleton. So since then, there's been over 4,000 students that have participated in the program and 70 plus Carleton instructors who've gone on to do great, big, wonderful things like me right here. So some really important statistics from this report. It is a very long report, so I've pulled out the meat and potatoes of it. In 2022, when we returned to do the swimming program after the COVID-19 pandemic, we assessed and we found that only 1 in 4 kids in grade 4 and grade 5 were able to pass that standard. And that's not very good. This year now, because grade 5 students got to return, last year they were in grade 4, we've almost doubled that. So that's a really big success. Obviously, we would think that grade 5s have a higher success rate because they've got to attend the program as a grade 4 student and a grade 5 student. We also see that the fail rate we have, or the number of students that aren't able to achieve that or even achieve water competency with a life jacket or a PFD, decreases, so that's really good. Another important statistic we have is that as the schools got closer to the Frankton Pool, their swimming ability increased. So children that went to Westview, they actually, even grade 4s and grade 5s combined, their skill level was still only like a 25% pass rate. But when you got to John Diefenbaker, where the Franktown Pool is in their community and in, you know, their neighborhood, more than half of the kids were able to pass. The instructor experience was really great. Everyone has learned so much from it, and they get on their transcript a work exploration A30 or B30 high school credit. This is one of the quotes of many that are in the report from one of the students this year. And I really like Geneva, her passion from the report this year, or from her essay, that she was able to make a difference. So it's just really heartwarming. Next, we have the Lifeguard Scholarship. So we have a basically a committed donation of $5,000 over the next 5 years, sponsored by Joden Hobrick, a former instructor of the program and just still a current lifeguard for the city of PA, although she has a nice big girl job and she does big girl things now. She wants to make sure that we are committing and promoting and recognizing the achievements of these City of Prince Albert lifeguards. So fun fact, out of the last 5 valedictorians from Carleton, 4 of them were lifeguards for the city. So Bria Howden, Taylor Berge, Nevin Gruich, and Hannah Walker all work for us. So with community services matching this donation, we're able to provide a $2,000 scholarship over the next 5 years. And just to kind of give you a lay of the land as to what's going on out in the world right now of lifeguarding, we have this vicious circle of if you don't have enough lifeguards in your community and you're not promoting that, you have fewer supervised swims, you have fewer swimming lessons, you have fewer people that can do it, and it just is like a, you know, a snake in a tail kind of thing, right? So this is something that we are aware of, and we're breaking this cycle here. In Prince Albert, we have a lot of successes, so we're contributing to meaningful work. We have lots of training opportunities. And in the future, I think with this Swim to Survive program continuing at our new facility, switching that over with our lifeguard scholarship and this great big new fancy facility we're opening, I think we're going to do good things. So any questions?
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. This is just something that's very close to my heart. I do want to ask you a couple questions, though. In your one slide, you talked about distance from, facility.
Yep.
Would it be possible to entertain the idea that perhaps, rather than distance from facility, the amount of times a better statistic might be children's ability to be at water? Regardless of the facility, but we're are very close vicinity to lakes. I wonder if instead the data should be, how often does your family visit a lake? That kind of thing. Do you think that impacts children's ability to?
100%, that definitely does. So that's why the program was geared to schools of opportunity within the school division, because maybe those kids don't get to go out to those communities or do those things. Within the constraints of the program, that's just kind of how we separated it because they came as a class, of course. But those are things that impact your ability to swim.
So a really good goal of our city would be to have all children have the ability to get a water sense.
100%. Even with a life jacket, those competency skills are important.
Well, I want to thank you for the work that you've done and the work that all the people that are involved in the program have done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Lauren. I have to say a big round of applause to you and all the work you guys do from your aquatic center. Not only promoting swimming and water safety in our community, but it looks like you've gone and represented our city, internationally. So well done to you on that. And I'm very proud of this program. And you're right, it does create a lot of value for our city as our children going through this program. Also, as job ready, I guess, at the end of their school career, working for our aquatics team. So glad to see, good to see that. And all my kids have went through this as well. So I know that it's created some great value for not only them, but their classmates as well. So great work on all the things you do there. So
thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, oh, sorry, Mayor Dion.
Even though she hasn't asked for anything, I'll move the recommendation, but I would suggest that the director, you have her presenting at budget. You talk about high energy and let's get her done. I wanted to clap too. So I'm glad you came and made the presentation. I'm glad to meet you. I can see why our program is so successful. You have the passion, you have the education, you have the direction. So good on you, and you do have our support. So if you do need something, you're welcome to come back and ask.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for the individual who donated the scholarship. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll go to the vote here. First, we're going to vote. Councillor Lennox Epp.
I vote yes.
Thank you. Accept. And it's carried. 7.5, Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse Turf Replacement Project. Thank you, Curtis. Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and members of council. I'll be bringing that same energy on this topic as well, very important to us. Today, the Community Service Department is looking for approval, to send out a request for proposal for replacement of the artificial turf at the Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse. That has been in place since the opening of the facility in 2010. The current turf is approximately 40,000 feet within a synthetic turf system called Sportex. This system is made up of nylon fibers with a rubber infill. When installed, there was an expected life cycle of 8 to 10 years. With completing of necessary care and maintenance, we are into year 13 of this turf. As you can see by some of the pictures up on the screen there, we are starting to see that wear and tear. We're starting to see the fibers break away. And once again, obviously, then that can bring some safety concerns to the turf. In 2017, and knowing of important work that would need to be done at the Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse, an improvement reserve was established to assist in these future capital projects and improvements at this site. The reserve is funded by the City of Prince Albert, annual contribution of $20,000, an annual rental fee from Prince Albert Youth Soccer Association of $30,000, a $10 facility improvement surcharge on our turf rentals, and sponsorships at the facility, which in 2023 stands at $12,500. The turf replacement project budget is estimated at $510,000, including PST. The work to be completed, is the removal and installation of new artificial turf and replacement of the spectators netting. The balance of the reserve at the end of 2022 is just under $410,000, with another $50,000 being estimated to be added in 2023. I would like to acknowledge right now too, we do have members of Prince Albert Youth Soccer here today. As they continue to do great work with our city soccer programming and are great partners of us, they've also committed an additional $50,000 to this project. Administration has been researching replacement products, including getting feedback from other communities who've also went through this process. Our focus has been on a product that will give us at least 10 years of warranty and consists of a resistant shock pad system, which will have a heavy weighted infill system. This type of system has proven in other communities, not only to meet the needs of the program we will see at the Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse, but it also has been proven to deliver a low incidence of injuries to athletes. In addition to this, we also be looking to a product that has permanent lines stitched right into the turf. Obviously, that'll remove all the painting and labor that needs to go into that as we do right now. If approved, an RFP would go with administration bringing back a report to City Council on the results of that RFP. As with other projects and timing on delivering of products and supplies, we expect some delays on that end, but we also need to make sure we can get it into the queue of whatever vendor is of choice or the vendor of choice. By releasing the RFP at this time, it provides the needed time to go through an RFP process and making sure all funding and agreements is in place, along with working with PESA on timelines to make sure to have this project completed in the summer of 2024. Thank you. If anyone has any questions.
Councillor Edwards.
Thanks for the presentation and the high energy. I did appreciate that.
I stumbled a little bit there.
It was really good. It was really good. Absolutely. So we're looking at an installation of when exactly?
Yes,
We're
we get,
hopeful?
the installation or actually work would be done in the summer 2024. We have a window in July that we would look to get this work done. That's when we have some of that downtime that would work with PESA and some of the other facility programming that's going on there.
And that's as soon as we can get it. We can't push it forward at all.
Right, with going to RFP and with dealing with the vendors and getting into that queue, dealing with, the delivery supplies and the turf and that, we feel that that's in the summer 2024 would be the best time.
That's the best time, okay. And that's good, and I will make the recommendation for this motion. It's so important, certainly utilize the turf on a regular basis, and seeing the clothing that you show on the pictures doesn't even do it justice to how covered people are after they're utilizing this turf, so it certainly needs to be replaced. So I appreciate the Soccer Association coming out and offering the support and adding some additional money there. That's big. Community partners are important. I do have some questions though about, and I'm hoping I can ask these questions during this. Some of the concerns that are raised towards hosting tournaments, and maybe you know this. Some parents are coming to me and say, listen, we have an awesome soccer association, but we don't host many tournaments, and I don't know. I'm not part of the soccer association, so I didn't know that information. I wasn't able to clarify it. I'm hoping that maybe our two representatives can answer that question of how many tournaments do we host in a regular year? I know that the investment went out for outdoor turf last year, beautiful fields. I know that the city looks forward to having tournaments hosted in our city because it enhances our city. So I'm just looking for a stat possibly on how many tournaments we host throughout the year indoor and how many tournaments are planned for this year on the outdoor turf.
Can you make it to the podium, please? Thank you. Excuse me, you have to go,
Podium, sorry.
you can stand.
Thank you for the question and opportunity to address the city council. Unfortunately, due to the size of our facility, we don't have full size. We can limit it only certain age groups to be competed. So every year, every November, we are having tournaments age U9 to U13. And I believe this is our third annual tournament. And we had almost 60 teams from PA and outside the PA. There's no actually enough interest for the people. When you have soccer community, they are most related to the Saskatoon and Regina, and most of the tournaments are held over there. We're actually blessed, I can share that information, that the Prince Albert II Soccer Association is the biggest, we grow to be the biggest soccer club in the province.
So I didn't quite hear you.
Due to the size of our facility, we cannot host, let's say, U15 and U17 age group tournaments because they have certain format of play. So the only younger groups we can accommodate in that facility.
So official, like, are you talking provincial tournaments or
No,
just
just
regular
regular
house
tournaments,
league
regular
tournaments you
tournaments,
can't
yeah, yeah,
host on that field?
Annie.
Interesting. That wasn't the information that
because
I
format
had
of the-
been told about from the people that helped build that facility. So that's an interesting point. But younger, you can.
Yes.
So how many are we hosting?
We have one tournament per year.
One tournament per year?
That's
So-
basically every soccer club in the province have one tournament per year.
Okay, so that encompasses all the age groups, right up to the U15.
Exactly.
So how many teams come from out
I
of
believe
town?
we had close to 60 teams on our last tournament. Yeah.
60?
60.
60. So you've hosted that multiple times?
Once a year.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. That's good to hear. I look forward to you guys hosting many tournaments. I think it's important to the residents to showcase that beautiful facility and the outdoor, I think. How many do you have scheduled for the outdoor?
Tournaments.
2 tournaments?
No, we have no tournaments outdoor.
No tournaments outdoor?
yeah.
Okay,
Will
okay.
be,
To be planned
if you have
soon?
turf, it will be great. Unfortunately, we don't have turf for the outdoor.
Sorry,
We don't have turf outdoor, so that's why most of the teams outside the PA doesn't want to come and play in the grass, unfortunately.
Grass.
they don't want to play
We
on
have so
grass?
spoiled community in soccer.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, thanks for the
Thanks
information.
again for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you.
But
Mayor Dion?
great presentation. So my question, Curtis, and I always worry this, Curtis, have you like pre-looked at the cost? Like you're estimating 500,000. And the reason that if you're going to do it in 24, I hope we get the prices before budget. Okay, strictly because I hope so, but I'm frightened because you said the softness and this layer and this layer and this layer, and that always adds to cost. And so have you pre-scouted? Are we in the ballpark or we don't know till we RFP it?
We have did some ballparking, worked with some vendors on get some pricing, I guess, to see where that ballpark would be. And so, yeah, I guess the RFP would hopefully shore that up for us, and we would look to bring that to council as quick, as soon as we can, as soon as that process is over.
Thank you. Is this the first time it's been replaced since the facility's been open?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Edwards has moved the motion. We'll open for the question. Councillor Lennox Epp.
Yes.
Thank you. Close, accept, and it passes. Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
Residential concept plan for 2101, sorry, Fifth Avenue West. Presentation from Craig Ginniger, Director of Planning and Development Services.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Executive Committee, for the opportunity. I won't spend too much of your time this evening. For the benefit of our residents listening, just a quick Coles Notes of the history of this site at 2101 Fifth Avenue West. Former site of the Prince Edward Grand Council's Angus Morasti School. Of course, we acquired that a few years ago through a trade for assets. This piece of property, the building has been demolished and is vacant and prime for infill development, currently owned by the city. So we did an expression of interest in 2021, essentially reaching out to community members, to developers, to share for an opportunity for them to share with us their vision for the property. We did receive a couple of requests, but only one of them really fit the bill for the land. This site is 3 acres in size. And we heard from Miller Contracting. So what we're asking of you today is not necessarily to approve anything. All we're asking of you today is whether you're comfortable for us to go out to the community, for us to go out to the residents of West Hill and all of Prince Albert to present this residential concept plan. We did go to the residents of Prince Albert in 2021 to speak with them about the demolition of the site, and they're a passionate group that really care about their community, and I expect we'll get a lot of feedback on this opportunity as well. Something that they did touch on and we're quite passionate about, again, is park space and just the general type of residential development that we'll be talking about. So things like lot size, the type of housing, things like that. So when hearing from Miller Contracting, what they've presented, you can see there is up to 20 lots. They're all kind of average size, anywhere from 12 to 13 meters wide. A typical cul-de-sac design. It'll be rezoned potentially to R3, which is a medium density type of housing. Restricted by a parcel size, you'll be looking at single family homes. And what really sticks out in this picture is the linear park space. So this is what we would call more of a neighborhood park. This isn't attracting people from all over the city, but rather to cater to the residents in the, within a 5-minute walk or so. We'll ensure that it meets all requirements of the zoning bylaw. Like I said, opportunity for park space. It does support our current housing market. Smaller lots mean a bit of a lower asking price, but we do need your approval or your support in moving forward for public consultation, and we'd like that to happen prior to June. Of course, the summer being a very, very busy time and makes it quite difficult for our residents to get out. So over the course of the next 6 weeks or so, we'll reach out to residents, put out a consultation in support of our communications division, and we'll hold an open house. And what we'll do from there is present feedback back to you in an upcoming executive committee, where we'll talk about things like price and get into more of the engineering and things like that. So I did get a couple calls today about this report, and I just want to make it clear for the public, we're not approving anything this evening. What we're doing is allowing us to go out to the public and get their feedback that we can then report back to City Council on. So with that, I can answer any of your questions.
Thank you. Mayor Dion.
I'll move the recommendation.
Okay.
And Arthur Peachy will be.
Yeah, we held it at Arthur Peachy. We'll have to contact them again, but I think it was a good venue, so I would make the same suggestion.
Yeah, and I'm just going to wait. There's no use talking on it because I want to hear from the public.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. So do we know the current proposal, is it designed for low-income housing?
Thank you for the question. You know, we've got smaller lots normally attract lower pricing, right? So lower pricing, smaller lots, smaller houses. We've got a lot of stock available to accommodate those, you know, 500,000 plus houses, and very little to, you know, construct, you know, $300,000 houses. And I think that's a real niche market that we're missing. So I wouldn't, you know, say low income. I would say that, you know, it'll be property ownership and just makes more of an attainable housing stock for our residents.
Yeah, so I should say subsidized. This isn't designed to be a subsidized area.
Correct, yeah. No, it'll be, you know, subdivided and sold just like the city sells our residential lots by a private developer.
Yeah, and they haven't provided designs of homes, bungalows, sizes, or anything like that?
Nothing like that. They're, you know, Miller Contracting is a very reputable company, right? They've got some good ideas of what they would like to build there. I suspect that they will build on a number of these lots themselves. I'll certainly be inviting them to the meeting as well to speak to what their plan is, the types of houses that they'll be building, and lots of those questions can be answered at the public meeting, because I'm hearing lots of similar types of questions being asked of me.
Perfect, thank you.
Councillor Ogrotnik.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Craig, for the report. I just, want to go on record to say that I'm opposed to a cul-de-sac. I think they should never be built unless there's boulevards accompanying these cul-de-sacs. It just makes no sense in wintertime. And when you have 7 months of winter like we have this year, it makes no sense. Plus, I like green space, and it was traditionally a school ground, park space, and maybe we should leave that. But I do hear you, and I think it's important that we listen to the residents, especially those that live on 20th Street that are going to have probably 60 cars more going up and down their street several times a day. If you have 20 houses, each house has 3 cars nowadays, and that's going to be an increased traffic for those residents on 20th Street West. So I wish the new councillor, this is going to be a good project for him, and good, or him or her, whoever gets elected, to have to deal with. So good luck.
Thank you. More questions? Councillor Zepp?
Sarah Lennox.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm curious if other members of council have heard from residents of the area, as I have, and I did hear the director state that he's received phone calls as well. With what I'm hearing is the expectation of more green space, as Councillor Ogrodnik pointed out. I've received several emails from citizens stating that when they met with us, and myself and the mayor and Councillor Zurakowski, were the elected who were present at that 2021 meeting that the director mentioned. Really, I think everyone would agree that from that meeting, what the public were asking for was green space at that location. And so I'm getting emails from the public indicating that their expectation is more green space than what this proposal allows. as has been pointed out, Ward 8 currently does not have a representative in the room on this project. Ward 2, so I represent streets that are adjacent to this development. And so I am hearing from the public. I wanted to provide, I need to read a little bit here from an email from a resident who really put some thought and time into this. And what was stated, and I'm reading it here, says, my belief is that the best use of the school site is for it to remain as it was intended from the beginning, to be open green space for the neighborhood. There's a dearth of park space in this neighborhood. There was a small patch of park at the West Hill Community Club where the paddling pool was. Much of that little park space was given to the separate school division for the parking lot for the new St. Anne's School. The next city park space is High Noon Optimist Park, south of 28th Street on Park Avenue off of Laurier Drive. That park is about the same size as this Angus Morasti school site from the Google Earth measurements, so it cannot be said that the site of the Angus Morasti site is too big for a neighborhood park. Just a little south of the High Noon Optimist Park is only a little smaller, but much more exclusive city park, hidden behind the homes on Mahan Drive. Other than old school sites, there are no park spaces available for active play and unorganized sports in this old West Hill neighborhood. There are a lot more young families on the streets adjacent to this site, and the kids will have to cross busy streets like 22nd Street to find open play space. This is a real disservice to the neighborhood. Many will see this as empty or vacant land that needs to be filled because it is no longer being used. Leaving it open as park space is what it was originally intended to be. It is being used as it was intended for, and filling it up with houses robs the neighborhood of its only true park space. We need more park space, not less, and our old neighborhoods don't deserve to have what little space there is taken away. That opposition aside, if it is to be developed, the development should follow the pattern of the existing neighborhood. The cul-de-sac form is not in line with the adjacent pattern, and it could cause emergency vehicle access issues that are typical with that planning form and should be evident with considerations. Those issues are directly related to current planning patterns based on cars, not people. I don't think the proposed green space is the size and configuration to be truly useful. As a narrow strip, it does not well support active play and sporting activities in shape and topography. This will be a poor addition to our neighborhood. So one issue is that, approving, I do understand sub 1 of this motion does say approve this concept plan subject to public consultation. And so my understanding from the mover is that we are, if this passes, we're approving the plan, but that it could be changed and it is subject to that public consultation to occur. The one kind of unfortunate part of doing it this way is when you approve something before public consultation, that it leaves the public with the impression that the decision's already been made and their voice doesn't matter. And that's not the case. And so I hope that we are clear that this is being proposed, that phrase, subject to public consultation, is in the motion here. And I've received many emails. I just wanted to read that one because it was very comprehensive. But I encourage all members of council, if you can, come to the public consultation meeting, because we did swear an oath to represent all areas of the city, not just our individual wards, and to hear the public. And as the director stated, in that 2021 meeting, that community was passionate that they use that park space and they benefit from it, and they don't want to lose a large portion of it. So we may need to make amendments as a result of that public consultation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Dion.
I'm kind of sad that we're debating this now. Let's hear from the public, and not let's just hear from one person or two persons that we got emails from. There's more than that live there. And so I ask council to be open-minded. Some of you have already sounded like you've made up your mind. So there's no use coming to a public meeting because your mind's already closed to you, what you think should happen. And I did check my notes, and it was about the playground equipment. It wasn't about the whole site. There was 2 sets of playground equipment right close to the street and one behind the school. And they were asking us direct questions like what kind of playground equipment we're going to put in, and we told them we would consult that. So I would ask councils, if you're going to come to this meeting, you come open-minded. We can't make prejudgments. We've asked the public for a meeting you know, to get their input so we can vote on what they want, and we are already telling them what we don't like. Well, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about what the residents in that area want and are concerned about. And so I think I'm going to ask council to be patient and let the process work. Let's go to the public meeting, open-minded, hear what they have to say, and then come back. And we do have to show them a concept plan. If we just say, well, we have a plan, and we go to this meeting, well, what is it? Well, what are we going to tell them? And it's been quite clear that it's just a concept plan. This is the proposal that we have. This is the green space we have. What do you think? And that's why I'm excited about the meeting, because I want to hear from the residents.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. No, I'm supporting this motion as well. I agree with the mayor. This isn't committing to anything just yet. It's committing to the public, to talk to more to the residents there and get their feedback, which I'd be great to hear from them, and I would like to attend that meeting. But more so to the question, I guess, when will we be having that meeting, and how will we be advertising? Is it going to be a bulletin on our web page? Also, I imagine the residents in that area will be getting letters.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Head, for the question. First, I will correct myself. That initial meeting was in 2019. I believe I referenced 2021. So last time, and the feedback and the turnout was quite good. We sent a letter. We used Share, and we sent a letter to everyone in our West Hill area, our West Hill master plan. And then we also did social media and things like that. So what I'll first be doing is reaching out to the mayor's office to make sure that there's no conflicts with any council commitments. And then I anticipate we'll move ahead with public consultation in a similar fashion to what we did last time.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Let's not forget that we acquired this property from Trading Parkland Hall. And in those discussions was an eventual development to recoup some of the costs. That was part of the original discussion. And so to have public consultation, this isn't something that's being sprung here. When we made the initial deal, that was the original concept. And so certainly we need to reach out to the public and have a discussion, but it's not new.
True that. Okay. Mayor Dion moves the motion, right? Open the vote. Councillor Lennox Epp?
No.
Thank you. I'll close the vote. Accept. It passes. Thank you. Unfinished business? There's none? Okay, adjournment? Councillor Head?
No, just asking Claire, I did have an item maybe for Evans, and I know we have no inquiry process, and it is kind of in relation to a previous motion that we had made and passed in this chambers about some of our speed limits, our school zones that we had agreed to. Okay, that's what I thought. So.
Council. Councillor Kilmer?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I'll open. Councillor Lennox Epp?
Yes.
Thank you. Close and accept. Thank you very much. Half an hour, so